Welcome, everyone, to the original virtual book club. I'm Benita Lee, streaming live from Calgary, Alberta. Are we missing? Did someone drop here? Nope, we're good. And I'm joined by book lovers from around the Americas and Europe. I'll let them introduce themselves. This month, we're diving into All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, a Pulitzer Prize winning novel that captures the beauty and resilience of the human spirit during World War II. I'm hoping today we're going to explore themes of resilience, morality, survival, and the small acts of kindness that shine brightest in dark times. Let's jump in. Would love to hear your thoughts on seemingly small acts that light up the world.
Wow. No pressure.
I don't know. I think that's I think that's a really good summary.
It is. It's a great summary.
Yeah, I didn't write it. The robot made me say it. Why do you suppose it's called All the Light We Cannot See? Is it talking about like those like like at the end you're just like there's like the things of human kindness that like doesn't spread like wildfire over the news, just like people being good people.
That is definitely part of it from my interpretation. But it is also a bit of a play on Marie Laray's visual impairment.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I'll mention this real quick. After finishing the book, I wanted to watch because it's the series, the 4-part series is on Netflix, and so I wanted to watch it, to kind of gap fill and all of that. I will be honest, even though it was, parts of it were extremely well acted, I was bored out of my mind. I couldn't watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else has watched or watched it and had a different reaction. So I was curious after 2 episodes and just not being motivated to go on. It got a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 28%.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
But the what I did learn that it was extremely interesting, and it's worth it's free on Netflix in the States at least.
Okay.
It's worth kind of watching parts of it because to play the Marie Laure character when she was 6 in the beginning of the book, and then when she's older, when she's with Etienne and I can't remember the woman's name, and then she's alone and she's broadcasting. The 2 actresses to play those parts are both visually impaired in real life. They put out a casting call specifically for people who, women who were and children who were visually impaired because they wanted authenticity in playing the role.
Wow.
And it is, and those 2 actresses, from what I did watch, played the role phenomenally. It was
Right. Hi, Marianne. It's a great time for us to introduce ourselves. Marianne, we were just getting into talking about what we thought of why it was named All the Light We Cannot See. and Hal was saying that he took the time to watch like the miniseries.
Parts of it.
He didn't finish it because it was like a Pulitzer winning book, but apparently the Netflix is boring as hell.
It was for me, and the critic. The Netflix series was critically panned pretty resoundingly. I mean, parts of it were extremely well acted, but it just wasn't told in a captivating way. Um,
I'll just I'll just use these things. Um, so yeah, no, you want to give yourself a little introduction, huh?
okay, see what it says on the bottom left there? That's me.
Follow Hal on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I am in Central Florida in the States.
And then follow Marianne. Where are you?
Well, hello.
Hello.
I am I am currently in Kuwait.
You ate.
Yes.
Ferenc?
Hey, this is Ferenc from Spain.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And Steven.
I'm Steven, based in New York.
Yay. Okay. So I guess running along that theme, how did Marie Laurier's blindness shape her perspective on the world?
I'll say something. I don't know if it's value add. I'll say something on that. I mean, she had to learn the world by her other senses, especially touch. Her was her father who built that, a layout of the city that was a model of the city, and trained her to navigate the city by using her hands in the scale model. And later on in the book, when she is alone and doing those secret broadcasts, she's reading parts of the book from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. And she's reading the book by, reading Braille. So she's narrating the book by reading Braille. And that was actually quite interesting to see, other than the picture you create in your head reading the book, to see her actually doing that in that Netflix series.
Oh, I bet. Because, like, you have to do, like, double translation there. So, Ferenc, that was the book that was inside the book. Does that count?
Yes, I mean, it's nothing that we didn't know earlier. We knew the book exists, but yes, it's a book in the book, so that's something. As for the personality question, I think her character in the book was as strong as she was because she had the impairment. So, as you mentioned, a lot of things she learned, she had to rely on other senses. She learned a lot of things that a lot of other people don't have an idea about or don't care because they don't have to. And because how she sensed the world around her, she was more insightful in a lot of ways than others. And she could sense. There was a book where they explained that, yeah, anyone that's talking around her, she could sense lies immediately by the way they are talking. So really interesting. And yes, the characters are quite well shaped and well well described. I loved the dialogues as well. So yeah, that added to it. I also added the TV show to my watch list just 10 minutes ago. I probably will remove it from the watch list based on what we discussed.
I don't know that I would. Here's what I would say to that. I don't know that I would invest 4 hours of your time in all of it, but it's worth kind of jumping around a little bit to see if there's sections that catch you, because it's always worth, even though this is the director of the series, the director's interpretation of the book, but to create a visual other than what you create in your head by reading the
Yeah.
book is always helpful, and in parts of it, it was, as I mentioned, when she was narrating the book on those secret broadcasts, and when her father is with her when she's 6 and teaching her how to navigate life, basically, as a blind person. Those are impactful scenes.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
Yeah, even during the book, I felt that some of the chapters could have been left out easily because it didn't add as much value, especially as you got to 80% of the book or something. At every chapter, I felt, and I'm reading the Kindle, so while I'm reading, I'm not seeing the progress and the pages all the time because I'm just focused on the text,
Alright.
and everything else is hidden from the screen. So I didn't know where I'm at, and okay, this is probably the last chapter. Swiping, reading, no, then this is probably the last chapter. No, still.
When does this end? And then that's an interesting point too, because like how you read it or if you listen to it, you're totally getting a different vibe. Because I think Steven listened to it on audio. Is that correct, Steven?
Yes, that is correct. I listened to all of it on audio because I had no time to read the physical book. Even though I would personally prefer that format, but I had to work with what I had. And to Ferentz's point, I felt like I kind of lost a sense of time, if you will, like from listening to it, like especially with um, Volkheimer's segments and his like scenes in the battlefields. A lot like after a while, like those scenes started to like blend into one another, and I'm not sure if anybody else listened to it on audio. And it just got to a point where you couldn't tell which chapter you were in anymore because these scenes were so like graphic and drawn out.
Well, and then I remember thinking when Hal said that they were like really short chapters, and then imagining that if you were listening to it on audio, it'd be just like kind of go in and out, in and out, in and out, and
Exactly.
yeah, like so. Yeah, that's interesting too. What I loved about it all was the way he described things. Like, I don't think he got like is the Pulitzer Prize what you get for good writing, or you know what I mean?
The Pulitzer is a literary merit prize, like, and writing is only one of the components.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it sounds like
but it's a prestigious award.
oh no, totally.
Indeed.
What? um,
I'm actually quite intrigued by the title, and how impactful it is relative to the storyline of her being blind.
mhm.
I think it's very well thought out. And obviously, we can draw parallels to real life in that the unseen is seen, and, relate to it.
Oh, totally.
It was one of those titles that's meant to have multiple interpretations.
A double entendre?
Maybe even triple.
Or more. Well, I was gonna say maybe even more.
Multiple
Think
entendres.
about think about like the youth in Europe that were like caught in the crossfire of war, and those who like had no choice but to follow Hitler's orders.
Mhm.
They were put in that position. They weren't born that way. They
Right.
did what they were told. And when you have some some people that that discreetly choose not to follow these things and instead be a good human, that really stands out. So I would say like those instances would be another example of light that you cannot easily see. That's the light that is like the
Right.
goodness of humanity in
Yeah,
dark moments.
good. Well said.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think one of the strength of her character. I mean, I look forward to the parts of the book as I was reading more when it was about Marie Laurey than when it was about Werner. I just, I look, because I really, saw, I appreciated the strength of character that she had. You know, she she lost her sight at 6. Her father had a very special relationship with her. He leaves one day, and then never comes back, yet she still believed that he was going to return someday. you know
Mm.
she's with her, what is it, her great uncle, Etienne. I think that was the relationship. And his housekeeper, the housekeeper gets, killed in a bombing. Etienne leaves, doesn't come back. And then she still carries on the broadcasts with the bombing going on all around her. you
Yeah.
know how many of us, if we were in that situation, just would have completely given up?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no, that gives me chills too. Like, wow.
And of course this is fiction, but how many stories are there like that of survivors of wars?
Mhm.
They lose everybody around them, and it's the strength of their character that gets them through it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like
Me neither.
sorry to get a little bit morbid here, but if
Sorry.
I think we have to have this conversation because like what if like I have like paranoia, um and as you know why, like we all see these things happening around the world, and I just think that, oh my gosh, like what if internet goes down? If the internet goes down, everything is lost. What about virtual book club? What will we do? Like If we lose internet, like, how will we have virtual book club?
Third world problem.
We won't be worried about reading. We'll be worried about like food.
Yeah, we'll still have food and water, and we'll be fine.
Well, hopefully we can like send letters to each other. Hey, do you want to read this book? And
We can all still be pen pals, don't worry.
yeah, exactly. We'll just have to write what we think to each other.
So are you equating morbid with lack of connectivity?
And like, like attacks on countries and like, yeah, like
Okay. No,
it's,
we're in challenging times.
yeah, it
It's
is
it's
concerning.
interestingly, I'm actually reading *Sapiens*,
Oh, that's a good one.
and the chapter I'm on now is about there is no justice in history, and this is just interesting to connect
I'm
with
glad
this.
you're reading *Sapiens*, Marianne, because I suggested we read *Nexus*, and I had not read it before.
I've heard very positive reviews.
Well, no, not from this book
No?
club, and not from
Oh,
me.
really? Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I ruined the book club.
It was not that bad, but
It was like,
Really?
it
I
was
received good
far.
reviews.
It wasn't Benet Brown bad, but it was. But it was not one of our better selections. But
no,
I mean,
and it was not
it was
as
there was
good as
good
Sapiens
stuff
at
in
all.
it. The problem that I had, from what I recall about Nexus, was the author Harari gets so full of himself and his own
Yeah.
opinions, and just drones on about how smart he is in relation to things, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So
But he is a cynic because I mean, if you read *Sapiens*, you'll see why he would be a cynic. Like in every time humans had something good, they managed to mess it right up. So he's not an optimist about barely anyone
except himself.
except himself. That's right.
Yeah, I think it was an important book, but not easy to read, and not always pleasant to read, but definitely an important piece.
Nexus or *Sapiens*?
Nexus.
Which are you? Oh, okay, yeah.
I think *Sapiens* is an important read too because
Yeah.
it really goes through, like, it really is what it says it is. It's a brief history of humankind.
Other than the fact that humans aren't all that kind.
That's right. And it's actually quite funny, which Nexus was not. Nexus was like dark.
Yeah, I've got *Sapiens*, in my Kindle library, but it's just not floated up high enough. But if it's getting 2 thumbs up from Marianne and Benita, maybe I should.
Well, and
yeah, I'm
it's been
loving it.
written in like 50 languages or something. So it's
I
like
can barely handle English, so
it's like if you, I don't know. I've been thinking about reading a book in a different language. Farron's got that in my head, and I was like, that might really help me. Like Spanish.
And in which language would it
Spanish.
be?
Chinese is like, made it to grade 3. That's all I know. That's it. That's all the stick figures I know.
Try traditional Chinese, Benita, if you want a challenge.
Yeah, like with more strokes than.
That's how my family does it. So just saying.
Wow. Well, great on them for their commitment to keeping it alive. Um, I'm looking at. Okay, what did you? Okay, we already talked about that. The question was, what did you learn about or realize about blindness through Marie Laray's perspective? Okay, oh, this one's okay. This is mine because I'm like, how does the author use vivid imagery and detail to bring scenes to life? Like, whoa. Um, this is the kind of book I like. This is the kind of description I like so that I can imagine it. And yeah, no, it was real brain food for my imagination because of the way that he could describe things. And that coal mine that in Verner's Town, that's now a UNESCO site. That I've put on my list of places to see, because like there's a long history of like coal mines and stuff like that in Germany, and it's just so interesting. I think how they were like one of the most efficient. Like that was when they had that stereotype that like German companies were like well-oiled machines, right? Um, I mean, it still could be the case now. I don't know.
Something else in the book that I thought was, and this is the old spoiler alert time, but it's the last time we're talking about it. I mean, through the whole book that their paths are going to cross, right? You're just waiting for that to happen, right? It's going to happen, and it happens a lot later in the physical book than I would have, anticipated. But I think the interesting thing, and again, I think part of the undercurrent of the theme about the goodness in people, Werner was charged with finding where these broadcasts were coming from and putting an end to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he finds her, he saves her. And then later he ends up getting, blown up by a landmine, when he goes back to Germany. So, I mean, the old, you knew it was coming, but you didn't know how their intersection of their lives was actually going to play out.
Yeah. Huge irony.
Well, I mean, you think about him as a German soldier, German officer, and what he was charged to do, and the risk he took personally by not fulfilling that mission.
Mm-hmm.
As ruthless as the Germans were during World War II, he was basically, volunteering to save her at his own peril.
Peril, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, woo! Yeah, that's some heavy shit. And I was gonna say, like, you thought they were gonna cross paths, and it just never happened. For instance, I was like, what? What? Okay, now they're gonna cross paths? I'm like, this is the end of the book. Like, what the heck? And then, to me, the ending sucked balls. I was like, all throughout the book, I was like so into it. I was like, flipping the pages, learning all this stuff that I never knew, getting involved with like these characters and, getting to know them and just, you know, and then what an ending. Like that was like a meh, meh.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
from an ending standpoint, since we're, giving away all the spoilers, I mean, it ended the way you would have expected it to end.
I
She
guess so, yeah.
she grows old. She's got a grandson. She's, reflecting on life with the grandson. Werner's sister learns of his demise when she gets his possessions. It kind of ended the way you would have anticipated it would have, or you guess you would have wanted it to end, right? You're rooting for her through the whole book.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah, but you didn't feel at least I didn't feel the relief or anything at the end. So when I finish a fiction, I want to feel either relieved or happy or sad or terrified, something, but something intense, right? Not to
Right.
read through all the pages and
Yeah, just kind of okay. Yeah. Other than I guess to some degree, I was glad I was done.
yes,
There was
that's
relief in
a
that.
source of happiness.
Oh, Marianne, we've missed you. Have you missed us?
I have, and I've been back to back to back to back, and I said, I am not going to miss this one.
Yay. What's our next one so we can entice?
The next book is
Turn the ship
Turn
around.
the Ship Around by L. David Marquette. Yeah, I've got my copy, but I don't think I'm going to be able to start it much before this weekend. I got a couple other ones I need to finish first.
I forget if we had chosen dates yet.
We have not. And talking about dates, not from an October standpoint. October by the vagaries of the calendar, because the first Wednesday is the first. There's 5 Wednesdays in October.
Oh, more to choose
So
from.
when we pick October dates, I would work backwards from just thinking about November and December because of holidays. Because Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all fall on Thursdays this year, so it's unlikely people might want to be
Right.
able to do the day before as book club days.
Uh-oh. Because, yeah, like I have an all-day event on the 8th.
I think the first might be too soon because that's basically giving people a week from today to make progress in the book. So from an October standpoint, maybe if you can't do the 8th, do the 15th and 22nd maybe.
Instead of the 29th. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because the only reason I'm suggesting skipping the 29th is because
It's
when
New
you get
Year's.
into November, you're going to want to do it in the early part of November. And when we get to December, it's going to be the earlier part of December because of holidays.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So then in November you go 5th and 12th or something? 5th and 19th.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then in December,
do the first and the third Wednesdays again.
I like it. 3 and 17. Yeah, let's do that. Does everyone? We'll put it in our chat. We'll put it in our chat.
I'm gonna be traveling on the 15th of this month, but that shouldn't prevent you from anything. So if it works for all of you, work with that date. But yes, we can discuss it on the chat.
Oh, wait. What was our October ones?
We were
You
going to
had
skip
something on the
first,
8th,
and you had
right?
something on the 8th. So then it was the options are 15th, 22nd, or 29th.
Oh, okay. And we can't do 22nd and 29th?
We can. The only drawback from that is we won't be having another book club meeting then for 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah, that would suck.
Because of the way the calendar works. If we wait till the 22nd, and based on I haven't paid much attention to it, but the physical copy of the next book doesn't seem to be very long.
It's around 300 pages.
Is it that long?
Yeah.
Yep. In the hardbound version I got here, if you ignore the index, you ignore the glossary, and you back up from there, it's 220 pages.
Mm, that's not long at all.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's chat in the chat or chat after, I guess, if you have time. What is exciting is we are on the eve of Virtual Book Club's 5th anniversary. And oh, that's right. What happened there? Did Marianne? She
She's
didn't
off
like.
celebrating the 5th anniversary.
Yeah,
Right?
she didn't want to celebrate with us. And it's hilarious because I'm thinking like we should have some OGs back from the original Virtual Book Club, because I was talking to one of them. His name is Michael Laguna, and he's like a commodity trader over in Stevens area. And it would be funny to hear about like how it began from other people's perspective other than mine. Maybe we could get Rob too. You know what? Oh, frick. I forgot I was live. Yeah, that's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. because I'm thinking the actual anniversary is October 5th.
Nice.
The actual anniversary is October 5th. So I don't know. Is anyone able to move in October? Is anyone able to move it to a different day?
Depending on which day, could be. I know this answer doesn't help at all, but that's what I have. Where do you want to move?
The 7th or the 9th? Like the Tuesday or the Thursday?
I'm okay with that. If it works for you.
I can definitely do Tuesday the 7th. The 9th would be iffy, but don't base that on me.
Okay. And then yeah, because maybe in October it could be a little bit different. Yeah, let's figure this out in our chat. Have you guys noticed that Farron started doing videos and stuff
that 2022 recap was cool, and what was really nice about it was 2022 was the year I got started. And the first book that the y'all were doing when I started was Atomic Habits.
Oh, really? It
Yeah.
wasn't hidden no. That think again. Think again. I thought it was think again.
Nope. I
Interesting.
did thinking. I did not do that one. I did. We did Atomic Habits, Infinite Game, the Hype Machine, Leaders Eat Last. We did some really good books that year. We did Red Notice, System Error, To Be Honest. Then we had a
Oh.
hiccup with Dare to Lead, but that's okay. And then the subtle art of not giving a you know what.
Um, do you just not like Brene Brown books?
It's the only one I've read, so I cannot
Oh,
say that. Um, and so
is it
I
because of like
know I know there are a legion of Brene Brown fans, and
right?
they speak more highly of some of her other content. And people will say that Dare to Lead was very repetitious
Oh,
of some of her other content, but
all her books are kind of repetitious.
I had my fill. I was good.
Yeah, I was really impressed that you did that. Oh gosh. And then, Ference, do you remember your first book with the book club?
Not by the top of my head. If I read the notes, I will probably remember. It was around the David Goggins book or a bit before. I
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
a regular at that time. I do remember the Goggins book because I found it fantastic. And we had the Chip War. I think I joined around Chip War. That was
Oh,
another good one. Not a
oh
light read,
yeah.
but definitely insightful on how everything is connected with everything. Uh, some people should be reading that on how trade works and how people cannot and shouldn't manufacture things on their own and how they have to get their supplies from other countries. It's a useful read.
Oh,
Uh,
totally. Like um, every headline that is about, like AMD or NVIDIA or the Taiwan Semiconductor Company, um, that book gave us like context to actually understand the headlines, I think.
and it was really good when we read Material World earlier this year. It tied back into chip manufacturing
Yeah.
and supply chains and brought back some of the themes from Chip War. The two combined provides a really good picture on how everything is connected with everything else and how things that are obvious aren't obvious and things that we take for granted are not or should not be taken for granted. So yeah, the two is a really powerful combo.
Yeah, I and everybody in Spain had that power outage, so it was like that must have really drove it home.
Yes, yes, it was an interesting event. Uh, at least we know that this can happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's something.
Now, I
Yeah,
think
like
looking back at the books that we have read, and people who people who do like to read, it is for many because of busy lives and busy schedules. For many, a book a month is ambitious, right? But if you
right.
go back and look at, the books we've read, if people have been paying attention and if they read nothing other than the books we happen to select, they would have had a pretty stellar reading list.
True.
Yeah,
Right?
an impressive one. Yeah, an impressive one. Yeah, I'm still wondering what our reading persona is if we combined them. I haven't forgotten about that, Ference.
Oh yes, we did have a plan to check that.
Yeah. I mean, I could just enter them all into ChatGPT and then ask it. Or maybe we should all do it so that see what the different if there's any different things that our GPT saw.
Yeah, we can do that. We can also publish the results unless it's super sad or weird.
You think it's gonna say we're weirdos?
What have you seen the latest thing that's going on right these days where people take their headshot like from their LinkedIn or something and
Okay.
ask ChatGPT to roast their headshot?
Oh yeah, I have seen some of those.
And so, it comes back with some very unflattering comments about you.
Oh, really?
And then it asks, do you want, it's something like it asks, with a follow question, do you want me to get more brutal? So if you say yes, it gets more brutal. And, so yeah, it's entertaining, but it's not necessarily something you might want to share publicly.
Oh yeah, no. I ask it to roast me, but not on my physical appearance. Yeah, I never thought about that one. But I ask it to roast me all the time and it makes me giggle. Yeah, like you wanna share? Okay, here. I'm gonna go into mine and you guys will laugh because it's hilarious. Are you guys gonna bring yours up too?
I'm not going to share all of it, but it says, roasting mode engaged. You got that? Trust me, I'm about to upsell you on life insurance. Look down to a
Oh my gosh.
And when you ask for full savage mode on roast, it said, headshot screams, I Googled businessman stock photo and just showed up. That tie knot, it's giving a quote, I watched a YouTube tutorial once and decided good enough.
Oh my
Love
god.
it.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT to roast your headshot.
Okay. I wonder. I'm too scared for it to roast my head. Okay, let's see.
Well, you don't have to publicly share it.
Okay, well, here's my. I'm just like I want a LinkedIn friendly roast. Trade compliance, more like trade complaints. Benita finds loopholes faster than you can say HS code, but only if there's coffee involved. Heavy roast, borderline savage, but hilarious if your audience knows you. Benita's LinkedIn strategy is simple: post 3 times, guilt you into engaging once, then remind you she grew Canadian Heavy Oil's followers from 1.2K to 8.5 basically for free. Honestly, the rest of us should just delete our accounts. And that's funny because like we joke at like about Canadian Heavy Oil Association is that like why haven't you changed your name to match the times? And everybody says it's like such a hard thing to sell. And yet we've been able to grow the account, the audience, and get more people engaged. Yeah, it's not so funny if you have to tell people the context, hey? But yeah, no, I wonder what it would say, like, but you know what I have trouble? Like, do I just copy my
Yeah, if you have that your Google headshot and just create a JPEG file of it, and then you just attach it as an attachment. So you just ask Chat GPT to roast my headshot as attached, and it'll.
it's too funny. Well, I'm really looking forward to Turn the Ship Around.
It's highly rated, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, same.
And it's not 500 plus pages, which is a plus. Because you don't have to read 480 pages just to figure out that you don't like the ending. So yeah, but amazing ratings, really good reviews popped up on my LinkedIn feed from someone. And then I started to look into it, and yes, everything says that it should be a really good book for us to read. And also it translates to everything we do. So yes, looking forward to it.
And good news from a page count standpoint, our November book, The Experience Machine, is under 300 as well.
Nice.
Okay,
Good to know.
so we only have one more book to choose for December.
Yeah, beginning of October next week, we'll start the process for December's choice, which is based on the rotation. It's fiction time,
Ooh.
Nice.
and I know what I'm nominating.
Oh, I better like get
Based
on
on
it.
a recent read of mine that I gave a rarefied 5.0 rating.
Oh, now I know.
Doesn't mean we need to pick it, but it will be my nomination.
I mean, if Hal rates it a 5, like this is a rare event.
Yeah, I gave James a 5.
Oh,
That was an amazing pick as well.
yeah.
Especially the audiobook with the narration. Really good one. And also, it's not the type of book that you had of 100 others. As much as highly rated this current book was, you can find these books, right? So, many of them, better, worse, but there is many. But how the author of James turned the whole topic around and viewed it from another angle, from which no one else viewed, was amazing.
Yeah, and to take a classic and do that. I mean, that's a tall
Yeah,
order.
yeah.
I mean, because I went back and looked, and the author Percival Everett, I'd never heard of him before until this
Me
book.
neither.
And I went back and looked and said, I like this so much. And a lot of his other books were not as critically acclaimed. So I never pulled the trigger on another one of his books. But I know I mentioned what cemented for me wanting to read it was when I saw him interviewed on the PBS NewsHour, and when he said, he was asked, do you feel like you are something like, do you feel like you are taking on Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, with your rendition of the book? And he says, no, I feel like I'm having a conversation with him about a different perspective.
Yeah.
But that's gutsy as an author.
But the way he did it was so powerful.
And to have a publisher willing to support that risk.
Oh, right. What would you say about that, Stephen?
Can you repeat that once more?
We were talking about the book James, which is Percival Everett's take on the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but from the slave's perspective. And the point I said was, that would be, it's a gutsy book to take on from an author's perspective, but it's a high risk proposition for a publisher to get behind. Trying to write a different a rendition of, a Mark Twain book.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
The
like I wonder what.
intention, yeah, the
Sorry, go ahead.
intention, yes, that's okay. The intention of writing it from that, from the slave's perspective um, is not bad by itself. I think where things can get a little dicey is finding a publisher that's willing to take on this kind of project, because publishing houses in general are in this precarious position where they have to balance between like what's popular and what sells, and versus like supporting diverse, underrepresented, and original voices.
I'm trying to look up who the publisher was.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doubleday.
Doubleday.
Oh,
Not familiar with them.
another Pulitzer Prize. Yeah, I forgot about that. And the Booker Award.
Oh, interesting.
Has a book ever won something after we read it? That'd be a good virtual book club goal. Like I'm not saying the Pulitzer, but maybe maybe like Calgary Herald or something.
Well, I mean, because, I had never gone out of my way to read a Booker Prize winner, but I just saw today where the 6 finalists were named for the 2025 Booker Award in fiction. 2 of them actually are not available in the US yet. To be a Booker Prize nominee, you have to be published. It has to be published in England, in the UK.
Oh, okay.
And the other 4 Goodreads ratings ranged anywhere from 3.8 to like 4.0. So it was like, they might be highly critically acclaimed, but not necessarily great reads from a general audience standpoint.
Right.
That's what I would almost say about All the Light We Cannot See. Extremely well written, extremely well developed, critically acclaimed, Pulitzer Prize winner, but it's not for everybody.
No. But you know what I did see, and I should have showed you guys the picture. I went to the Chapters Indigo the other day, and the Chapters Indigo is kind of like the Barnes and Noble in Canada. And it was on the Heather's Pick table. So like it was a Heather's Pick, and it was this month.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like, cool. Yeah, because there's like I don't know, in Spain, do they have something like that? Because like I feel like in the States it's like all about the Oprah's pick and
Reese Witherspoon,
yeah,
and Jenna Bush, and all of those women stars who have managed to get a book club following.
Yeah, do they have a genre?
If they do, I'm not aware.
Yeah, it's generally fiction.
Right.
That they're picking, they're picking They're picking fiction books with a lot of times a social commentary.
I don't mind Oprah's picks, but I find that Reese Witherspoon's picks are like they're like smutty romances. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'll read a smutty romance at the pool. You know?
Yeah.
When I just
Good luck with that.
No.
I will say, here, of the few I have read so far, I have not read many. There are 61 books in the J.D. Robb In Death series,
all right.
which is about the New York detective Eve Dallas. But J.D. Robb is a pseudonym for Nora Roberts, and Nora Roberts is known for romance novels.
Yes,
And the J.D. Robb series books that I've read, the crime story is well done. It doesn't need the extra stuff that she throws in with, romance scenes. It doesn't need where the books are set in the 2050s and 2060s, trying to make them, futuristic. It doesn't need any of that. The crime story stands on its own, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had wondered that.
Ignore that other stuff.
I had wondered that, and that's why I'm so interested in the J.D. Robb, the series, because like the covers and the names, the titles seem like they might be smutty, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just went back and read the very first one, Naked in Death, and basically the story, the crime story part of it, is that in the future when prostitution has been legalized, so you get a license, a prostitute is ritualistically murdered, and it happens to be that she's the granddaughter of a sitting U.S. senator.
Ooh.
And then it is one of 6 planned murders of prostitutes, and what the backstory really is as to why it's done, and it's a good crime story.
I didn't know it. Yeah, I didn't know it entailed all that, like futuristic stuff too. Okay, yeah.
And because that first book was written in 1999, the 25th anniversary edition was just out recently, obviously. Writing about 2058 in 1999, trying to talk about, what tech would be like, it's just.
And it sounds like policy.
Yeah. It's so, reading it in 2025, it's sort of like you didn't need that to tell that story.
Right. Cool.
All right, we're over time, I know.
Yeah, as always, it's been a slice, like often the highlight of my week. And I guess we'll see you as soon as October 7th, maybe, right?
Yep.
Sounds good.
So we got to get cracking on our new book.
Yeah, we got to get cracking. Hey, see you in the chats and on the page.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.